All right, guys, mic check, mic check. Checking that we're live here. All right, looks like we appear to be live, which is great news. It's 7:25 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. Our battle with COVID will continue. Gosh, I'm very exhausted today, but we will just keep trading through it. And basically, we're telling COVID to F off, and we're just going to keep fighting. But one day I'll have my energy back, and that'll be a beautiful situation. Okay, so yesterday, choppy day, after hours. Funny enough, I ended up taking a short, very small size here on the 10-year Treasury. I shorted at 111.9 and literally got stopped out right near the high of the day there at 111.12 for 6 ticks. So lost $190 on the challenge account. So that's fine. I was, I knew we were in the zone there. That it was probably going to start to roll over, and I was looking for that short into the close and pretty much nailed it. Just a little unlucky. There was an auction, a bond auction that came out that just temporarily thinned out and pumped up, hit the stops, and then rolled back over. But sometimes you get a little bad luck. That's all right. Minus 190 bucks, managing the risk. That was our first. That was the first day finishing red in a long time. I think over 3 weeks, and a very small red day, which is nice. So happy about that. And yeah, so that was yesterday. Still choppy conditions, and I do follow some other actually really successful traders out there, and they had a pretty rough day yesterday. So I always kind of use those types of trader as the the bellwether for how we're doing. And we're just going to continue to navigate these choppy markets with risk control in mind, and just take whatever opportunities are provided for us. So with that said, let's go ahead. I did a pretty detailed pre-market forecast video for the elite members area. I'm going to start doing that prior to London, and we're going to start preparing sooner in the day, because there are a lot of moves when New York is choppy. There's a lot of stuff coming in London, and that's my morning, so there's really no reason why I shouldn't post the pre-market forecast earlier and start looking for trades in London. So we're going to do that. It's going to be a lot easier when I don't feel like shit every day with COVID, but for now, I'm going to post those pre-market videos in the elite members area. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on over to ES. We'll start our day here. And with ES here, I do expect just a continued range-bound market. We'll see if it cracks one way or the other, but right now I'm just expecting a range. So with that said, since we're expecting a range, I'm not against playing the range. Yesterday there were some decent range opportunities. The reason I'm hesitant to play the range right now, even though I'm calling it accurately on the daily forecast for the indices, I'm saying, hey, look, it's going to be range bound. It's going to be choppy. Stay away from indices. Of course, if you have a pretty good idea it's going to be range bound, you can trade the range, right? The reason I've been hesitating in playing the range is just because I have a feeling this thing's going to break soon. And when it breaks, I'd rather just wait for it to break, and then that's when the easier trading will start, right? So, but for those of you who are more aggressive, you don't mind, taking more losses, this thing is probably going to continue to stay in the range. So if you want to just wait for opportunities to play the outer bounds of the range, probably not a bad strategy right now. And if we see anything today, that looks particularly good, that's really the only instance in which we'll play the indices. So indices will continue to be the same, just kind of staying away and, expecting continued range-bound action. There's a lot going on under the hood right now, guys, which is why this market is a little bit nutty. We do have a lot of support on the NASDAQ. So I am going to be looking for potential buy opportunities at the lower end of the range on the NASDAQ. I don't think the NASDAQ is ready to break out to the downside yet. So I do think that this support level in here around 17,600, could be good to buy if the hourly confirms down there. Hey Steve, how you doing? You can rewind the video. I started a few minutes early. I uploaded a new pre-market forecast video in the elite members area, but you can watch that later. I'm going to start uploading that prior to London. And I just kind of went over the new strategy we're employing right now as the narrative is shifting. So you can just check that out later. I don't have time to go over it now. But yeah, yesterday, it was funny. My short on the 10-year treasury, I got taken out literally at the high of the day. So otherwise, it was a good trade. Hey, if it takes a little bit of bad luck and some really horrible price action to give Owings Market Analysis our first losing day in about, I don't know, 3 weeks, I'll take it, right? It's not a big deal. You're going to have losing days sometimes. I don't like them, but just keep them small and keep them few, and life is good. All right, so ES looks a little more choppy. NQ still looks like a lot of support here in the 17.6. I think we're going to continue to be stuck in the daily range here. So we can look to play either side depending on when we get out there. So that's for the NASDAQ. That's kind of, the NASDAQ's giving the clearest price structure today. Yesterday, the Dow, I went over this in the elite members video. Yesterday, the Dow here did actually give us a pretty good buy setup. But again, I didn't pay much attention to it because I was, more focused on the correlations. But the correlations are shifting right now. So we'll keep an eye on them, continue to watch how the correlations are shifting. But I'm definitely swinging a lot more focus just back to my traditional OMA patterns types of trading, because correlations are great and they can be helpful. But when they're transitioning, which they are now, they can also just, it can be confusing to look at the correlations. And quite frankly, with Owings Market Analysis, we don't even need the correlations. They're just kind of a bonus sometimes when they're working. Right now, the correlations are a little bit screwy, a little bit wonky. So we just go straight with the OMA patterns, types of trading, everything from the trading plan, all that stuff. So yesterday on the Dow, there was some good reason to buy the Dow yesterday. So these are the ones I didn't buy it yesterday, again, because I was looking at the correlations. I thought, I don't know. Whereas now, if I see something that's good in its own merit to buy or sell, I'm just gonna, trade what I'm seeing on the OMA chart and not worry about the correlations too much right now. Okay, so we'll still talk about them. We're still gonna follow them, and especially when the new correlations get settled into this new narrative. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, I mean, just go. It was something I suspected, but I saw it in the zero hedge premium section as well. They're talking about how, yeah, for some reason, NASDAQ and is not really responding to higher rates right now. It's because the markets, they're more focused on growth and earnings. So anyways, I don't really care what the reasons are. I can see in the charts and in the scoreboard dynamics that narrative is changing. So that's good. The key is, it's like, being a successful trader over time consistently is kind of like being a good coach of a basketball team, or, whatever sport you want to, whatever team sport. Let's say you're in basketball, you got a really good offense, but and it's working for a while, right? You're scoring on the other team. Eventually they figure it out and they adjust their defense, right, to counter your offense. Then you have to come up with a counter offense strategy to counter their new defense. This is how the market is, right? So Owings Market Analysis always works because of the way it's designed, but then the correlations are, like in addition to that playbook, they will shift over time. And as they shift, we need to shift our playbook. So just keep that in mind. All right. So for the NASDAQ, I think there appears to be a lot of support, but again, we're just going to continue to exercise caution. The Russell, you got a lot of resistance. I really like to short the Russell back up in here somewhere today. That's what we're looking on the Russell. Bonds look to be under pressure, as I thought they would be. So if you look at, this is the Ultra bond here. I wanted to short the Ultra bond yesterday up into 128. We never got there. And now we are rolling over. I do think bonds are going to be under pressure the whole day. So as this hourly trend run pushes down, we just want to wait for a little bit of a pullback to get short. I think we'll at least test these lows. There's a lot of support down there. So, got to be careful. If we're short from above 127, got to maybe take profit down here by these lows. But let's let that develop a little bit. Gold, I think, also is going to be good from the short side. You've got a pretty nice little short pattern here on the daily chart. I do think we're going to get some good shorts on gold today. I was waiting. This was the other short I was waiting for. This was just, some days this just happens. I wrote to Steve in the elite members area. I said, look, on this hourly bar here, if this hourly could just punch up here, I was ready to short, you know, above 2056, but we just didn't get there. So sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, let's look at so gold. We're going to be looking to go short. Silver's got a similar pattern to bonds. So all this is going to continue to depend on, you know, do bonds break the support? Because if bonds don't break that daily support today, then metals are going to be a mess. They're going to be choppy. We're going to have a similar day today to what we had yesterday, unless bonds break through that floor. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean, you know, we'll have some trades, I'm sure. Just got to be aware of the market that we're actually trading. Look at copper. You know, see copper just kind of a mess here. Let's look at platinum. So with platinum here, this is what I talked about in the pre-market forecast. Platinum was, believe it or not, guys, I went through, you know, all the major markets here before London, and the market that I liked the best, I posted this in the elite members area, was platinum, because we have a beautiful trend down here on the daily. We pulled back. There's the resistance. So platinum's going to have a lot of good resistance all day. It's actually my favorite market today, and you can see it was my favorite market before the day even started. And here we are off to the races to the downside on the hourly chart. So now we just got to find a way to jump on board this train. So platinum is one we'll be keeping very close eye on today. And again, this isn't because I love platinum any more than any other market. It's just the one that's giving the clearest Owings market analysis pattern, and the hourly is now confirming it nicely. So we will look to be playing the short side of platinum, playing the short side of silver and gold. It's just that with silver and gold, we really want to keep an eye on bonds and see if they can break through the floor there. The last couple of days, the low, because there is some buying stepping in. Here, let's talk more about bonds in a second, since, guys, the debt market drives everything else. That's why I spend so much time talking about the bond market. Let's just look at crude here before we jump back to the bond market. So crude, I mean, you are coming, here's the weekly chart. I do think the weekly now, look at the weekly, guys. This thing's just been an absolute disaster. Got some resistance up here. I mean, look, this is going back the last, I don't know, 3 months, whatever that is. So now we are coming out of this support. I think we're probably headed back up, especially since the war seems to be expanding Mideast. So I guess crude should respond to that at some point. Anyways, if crude gives us any good flushes to the downside, we'll look to get long, hopefully on the back of the crude inventories number that comes out today, 10:30. So we've got crude inventories. Steve, if you can remember that, that'd be great. Half my brain is working with fucking COVID, so please remind me about the crude inventories at I think it's 10:30. Yeah, it's 10:30. See, I can't even remember what time the crude inventories are. So the main opportunities I saw for today, platinum definitely short, gold short, but back to bonds. This is what I want to bring to your guys' attention. So here's the 10-year, and with the 10-year here, I'm pretty, you know, it's looking like we are going to head for these lows, right? So we'll start the day off with rates pushing higher. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean as much as it did 2 weeks ago, because the narrative is shifting around rates and how stocks are reacting to them. But if it's still going to affect metals. So as the 10-year is pushing down here, number one, we're going to look to short the bonds if we get a pullback, which would be great. And number two, we're going to, you know, look to short the metals if we get a pullback, especially platinum, since it's the weakest right now. And then the dollar we want to keep an eye on. So looking at the dollar here, we've got we're at 107.86. This is what's in the pre-market forecast. This is what had me concerned. You see the euro here? This is the euro futures, guys. So these are daily bars. We're pushing down, and now here's today. We're trying to push higher, right? So if the euro starts to push higher here against the dollar, which it could, right? We already are at this moment. That's probably going to put the floor in on bonds. It'll put the floor in on metals. So it's just going to change. To start the day, I've got the game plan. The game plan is to short bonds and it's to short metals, right? Because basically those are the clearest charts we're looking at. But if the euro starts to push higher against the dollar and bonds stabilize, it's going to lead to a shit show the rest of the day. You're going to see similar to what we saw yesterday with ES and NQ. You're just going to see a lot of the indices aren't really responding to each other the way they normally do. And you're going to just see a mess there. And That doesn't mean we can't trade it. You know, yesterday I realized I forecasted a mess before the day started because of what I was seeing. And there were some pretty decent opportunities just playing the range of the indices, right? So today I'm not as opposed to playing the range on the indices if we end up, you know, getting a rebound in the euro and bonds are stabilizing, rates are stabilizing, and we can play that range in the indices. On the NASDAQ, we certainly have a lot of support into 17,600. So that's sort of where we're at. Let's look now at the hourly chart and see what we want for the upcoming 8 o'clock hour. Starting with ES. Having some coffee to stave off the COVID narcolepsy. Oh, guys, I've never been this tired in my life. It's fucking incredible. For such a long time. I was feeling a little better yesterday, but maybe the coffee will kick in. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, show must go on, even if it requires falling asleep. So here is ES, and for the 8 o'clock hourly close, are we getting a short up here for ES? Potentially. I don't really see much evidence that says we're just going to squeeze straight out of this range. So we could see something like this. This is what I saw yesterday afternoon. I was tempted to short this, but I didn't. I had my reasons not to, but I think we could see something like that. You see how that hourly jumps up and then it's basically challenging the upper bounds of that range there and then just cycled back down. Sure, it got bid back up, but you still had a nice little move back to the bottom of the range. We could be seeing something similar here as this is pushing higher into the top of the range and bonds are heading lower, which means rates are rising. So even though the correlations are kind of changing somewhat, I don't really see, you know, we'll see. ES is going to have to get up and through 49.84 and stay there if we're going to attack 5,000. And sure, that could happen, but we're going to get some clues here, especially using OMA. You can see here, you know, the extensions are important when you're in congestion. You know, if the extension is holding, it's giving you a much higher likelihood that you will cycle back down. Whereas you see over here, you guys, that extension broke and you ended up going way higher first before you end up rolling over. So just all these little details make a difference as to whether or not I think a level is going to hold. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's ES. Look at NQ. And it's really important, I can't stress this enough for you guys, and I remind myself of this, is that during times like these when the markets are, you know, they're choppy right now, they're difficult to read, we're doing a great job. We had our first tiny losing day yesterday in 3 weeks. First losing day in 3 weeks. I lost $195 or something just shorting the 10-year. Stop got taken out at the high of the day. A little bit of bad luck on the bond auction, whatever. It happens. But it just reiterates the point I'm making is that I can get a little antsy as well, you know, because I'm waiting just for this market to fucking work itself out. And I really want to trade, believe me. I'm like, come on. But I got to remind myself as well, don't just start forcing stuff because you're being patient and the market's working itself out. You got to just take that patience into each and every day. And believe me, even for those of us that have been at this for a while, you still, you know, go after you've been patient for a week and a half, you're like, you know, you get a little trigger happy. So something we got to watch today, right? The trigger happiness. So the NASDAQ looks like it could push today. You do have some support there. This is what I was talking about. I think on the indices, the most clarity we're getting is the NASDAQ with a lot of support down here. So for example, you know, if we had a flush down like we've been seeing lately, today I'd be much more comfortable buying that for the reversal back up because of the support and all the stuff we've got for OMA there. So with the NASDAQ looking like it's probably going to be stronger today, that would influence obviously my decision on ES here. You know, if back to this hourly close here, if ES set up a good short signal, which it may not, I have a feeling, you see, it's probably already gunning for that. We're probably already going to break the extension there that I just talked about. And if we break that, that's just adding clarity to my bullish picture on the NASDAQ. Semi-bullish. I'm bullish on the NASDAQ, more bullish than bearish, right? This is how we can use the different levels on different markets to confirm or deny what we're seeing on the other markets. So the NASDAQ, we will look to probably play the long side. Just got to wait for a nice little setup there. It'll give it to us. The NASDAQ's been wild lately. I don't see a runaway market the upside. If that happens, whatever, we'll jump on board. Not a big deal. So let's look. We're doing the 8 o'clock check now. The Russell, we will check the Russell a little more carefully today because if we can get a little bit of a pop up on the Russell, I'm open to shorting. We'll see. You gotta be careful shorting the Russell when the NASDAQ looks like it's going to be bullish because they're both the more rate sensitive. And even though that narrative is shifting, it still matters, you know, a little bit. So I want to make sure that we're putting ourselves on the right side of things. All right, let's look. And by the way, guys, I repeated this, but some of you are joining us late. I do follow, you know, some people who are not on YouTube who I know personally who are very good traders, right? In my opinion, I have a much better methodology that works better. But in terms of actual trading, no, these guys are just incredible traders. And, you know, they're having a pretty rough patch the last 5 days or so, like losing a lot of money for what they're used to. And these aren't guys that lose very often. So I use those guys, you know, I can see on the charts, like this is a time to exercise caution, but I use these guys as sort of like my, you know, my bellwether, my thermometer, checking the temperature of the markets. Okay, I'm being patient right now. You know, how are these guys who I really respect? How are they doing? It's like, okay, well they're having a rough go of it right now. Okay, that tells me my patience is, you know, warranted, which I already know it is. But it's nice when you see that from other people who you know and respect, and you know that they're good traders. So, with the bonds here, I believe the 10-year is probably headed down here to these lows that we've seen, and then probably we will see some support. Again, the reason we're going to see some support down here, I think, we're probably setting up for the 10-year to go into congestion, right? So you'll probably put in some support here. Then tomorrow we'll probably see a big relief rally in the 10-year like this. You can pretty much, you know, take a screenshot of this, then go look at the price action in 2 days and tell me if I was right or not. Leave it in the comments. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Let's see. Because the reason I say that with confidence is not because I have a crystal ball. It's because the NASDAQ does look like it wants to try and squeeze a little higher. So I think it's kind of foreshadowing that the rates are going to be a bit more stable. Again, we're still going to trade these markets more often in their own right, not worried about the correlations because they are shifting, but they still matter a little bit right now until we head into the new regime. I'll tell you, I've already told you a little bit about what the new correlation regime is going to be, but we can get to that later. So for today, let's bring this back for full circle here. We're going to just look to short as long as we're up here, right? So if this hourly in the next 15 minutes, you know, we're trending down. If we get a little pop up here, we'll go ahead and start the day by shorting the 10-year and look for a move, you know, down here to support. And then the 10-year can give me my money back that it took yesterday. Just kidding. That would be revenge trading. That would not be good. But I'd be lying if I say I don't want some revenge on the 10-year. Okay. But we won't let that influence our decision-making process. Just got to have a little fun here, guys, especially when we have COVID. All right. Here is the the 30-year Treasury. Kind of the same situation, guys. I do think we're headed to the lows. So we just want to get a little bit of a bounce. This may be all we get, you know, yesterday. Let's go ahead and look at the Ultra Bond. Yesterday on the Ultra Bonds, these are the Ultra Bonds I'm going to show you. I'm bringing this up because this is, let's see, maybe 2 days ago, because we might see a similar situation. Kind of like this, see, where you don't really get a pop, you just going and then boom. So we might have to be, you know, aggressive and giving ourselves a shot to get short the bonds at 8 a.m. Let's see what we got shaking, because the metals I think aren't going to be as good of a short because the dollar is weakening right now against the euro. So I think the bonds are safest bet. Look at gold. I think aside from platinum, which looks, you know, if platinum is kind of just, platinum's in a world of its own, which is one of the reasons I like it. A good pullback in platinum, I think later could be a good short, but metals in general, with what we're seeing on the dollar right now and bonds, I think even though Gold does have a bearish pattern here. Metals are still responding to the dollar, so that we have to be aware of. All right, let's go ahead and look again for the 8 o'clock close. If this COVID persists, guys, I'm about to fold up shop and literally fucking take a 1-month vacation, go sit in the sun and do nothing. So I'm really hoping it goes over soon because I'm getting pretty tired of it. You know, functioning at 50% energy levels, it's just not fun after a while. So here with the ES, it does look like we're pushing higher here, which is what I think is going to happen for the NASDAQ today. I'm not buying the breakout. This is not a momentum market. Be careful buying the breakout. Just kind of hoping the NASDAQ will, you know, every day it's gotten knocked back and given an opportunity. So I don't see it rifling without us. So we'll just patiently wait for a pullback in the NASDAQ. I think the Russell and the Dow are just going to be a little nightmarish today since they're more right smack in the middle of their ranges. Let's check the 10-year here. This is the one we might trade for 8 a.m. We just want it to kind of jump up here a little bit, but it may not. Look at the 30-year. I think you're seeing a reverse. If you see here, it's kind of funny. You learn stuff from every trade you take. Yesterday when I got my stop hit on the 10-year here, see, it's trending up on the hourly. I shorted here. I was just a little early and got a little unlucky taking out at the high of the day. That's fine. I had a very small size on it because I just, you know, I'll put bigger size when I love a trade. I thought this trade was worth taking. You know, it wasn't like a top pick, so I didn't go big on it. But it's looking similar here. You see how you kind of, the hourly is rolling over here. Pay attention to this price action here. You're rolling over and then just right off the true average pop like that, right? Could be, see how the near high is going flat. You see these resistance levels here stacking against you. I point all that out because it looks like something kind of similar. You see how the near low is going flat here. You know, it could be one of these things where we open and go like that. So keep an eye on that. I would prefer to get the short a little further up here in the pocket, just because then your stop is a bit safer back there. But we'll keep an eye. We might take it. Let's look at the 30-year. We've got about 8 minutes. Here's the 30-year. Let's check the news today. My little girl is home from preschool, sick as well. Those are the fun days when the house turns into a preschool playland. Millions of toys all over the place. So at 8:30, we got the U.S. balance of trade. I guess I can move it a little bit. It's only a medium announcement. 10:30, we've got crude oil stocks like we talked about. Then we got a bunch of Fed people speaking later on today. We have the 10-year note auction at 1. Steve, remember that. 10-year note auction at 1. That's why, Steve, we saw that weird liquidity coming yesterday. It was the note auction. I knew there was a note auction, but that was still weird note auction liquidity. So that was why we were seeing those weird gyrations on gold and bonds. So today we have the same thing, except it's a 10-year note auction. Yesterday, I believe, was a 3-year note auction. So that's kind of like the news for the day, what we're looking for. Look at the ultra bonds here again. Get some water. Might take a shot at shorting the ultra bonds here at 8. Not giving. The price action has been strange, guys. It just has. There's not been, you know, usually when you forecast the moves as accurately as we forecast them most days, you will get like some nice volatility. You're waiting for a level, it'll kind of pop back to your level, you take your trade. It's just lately on bonds, for example, you just haven't gotten, you know, a whole lot of pullbacks. But this time I might have to just try and short it, even though it's not really coming back to my preferred level. Of course, that'll probably be the time it takes out our stop, but whatever. We'll trade what we see. And I do expect, like the ultras, I do expect, if you see, look here on the daily, I do think the ultras are going down here first. I think we're on our way there now. So those lows are coming in at 126.8. You know, might be in order to short right up in here, 126.27, 126.28. And, you know, if we can get 15 ticks out of it, that's great. Risk, you know, 5-6 ticks, something like that. So I'm not saying I'm gonna do that. That's just my idea for 8 o'clock. Keeping an eye on it right now. Go ahead and check back in with ES real quick. Yeah, ES just firing. Nice. That's another reason why I think if bonds, even if bonds get down to their support level today, you know, we might end up buying them as well, because I do think bonds are stabilizing. So I think there'll definitely be some good trading opportunities. Look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ. Waiting for a little pullback. Let's go back to ultra bonds. I am the most interested in the ultra bonds right now. Just, are we gonna, is this gonna be the low of the day? I don't think so, but we'll see. Yeah, you see some selling came in right there, you guys. Right back up. Gold. Gold's a mess. But as I said, I'm not going to worry too much about the correlations right now in certain aspects. Like I will, in terms of the dollar and metals, you know, we don't want to, right now the dollar is getting weaker, so got to be careful with the metals. But the bonds kind of move in their own little world, like platinum. We're just not really, I'd really like this to just pop a little bit here. You know, we could get a little bit of a pop up into 2630. You know, then I would be more interested in shorting. But let's see where it closes. You can already see on the DOM some selling coming in on ultra bonds here. Take a look at the 10-year. See if we're going to short any of these. I'd really like whatever kind of jumps up. 30-year. Back to the ultra. Kind of selling in here. I think it's going to be one of these that potentially just picks up the average and pushes down. I'm not a huge fan of those. Steve, it's up to you if you want to take that. I'll probably wait for something better. Mr. Boring, Mr. Patience here. But I think there's going to be some nice trading today, because even bonds down in here, I think we'll have a good opportunity to potentially go long. later, depending if it holds. You know, we'll have a good read on it with our extensions and everything else. I mean, if that support breaks, hey, that's what I would prefer, because that could really open up the fear trade with money moving back into the dollar. The metals could start to collapse. We get a lot more opportunities. I just think it's going to hold. Yeah, so that's looking dangerous to me right there. I wouldn't short the ultra bonds here. They might go down, but you know, I think it's just still, this move is a little bit, I think when I'm looking at something thinking, where would I have really wanted to get in on this? I mean, really up in here. So yeah, bonds potential long, I think down into support down in here. And the reason I say that is because I think we're still super bearish on bonds, guys. We really are. I just think it's going to maybe stabilize and pop a little and then come back down and resume lower. I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking. And that's because in the debt market like this, you after these 3-day drops like this, you do get some buying coming in, whether it's the Fed or the Treasury or, you know, God knows who, but there's some big money steps in to stem that, you know. I'll show you a pretty good example, because these were big, you know, how big these moves were, right? You say, because here you say, oh, well, look, it's trending down for, you know, 4 days. Yeah, but look at the size of this. This is what I'm talking about right now. We went from almost 133 on the ultra to 126, you know, 7 handles. That is freaking massive. So that's why I think we probably are more likely to hold down here, like that scenario I laid out, and then set up for tomorrow, something like that. And then, you know, that would be Thursday's trading, and then maybe Friday closes back down and then sets it up for the resumption next week like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So today, I think we're a lot closer to what could be the low of the day, which is where we'll probably want to get long. If we get a pop before we hit the low of the day, then I'll short it. But right now, we're kind of in no man's land. So let's cycle back through here and look at ES. See if we broke that extension. And see, we did. So here on the hourly chart for ES, we broke the extension, which tells me that the bullish picture is in play for the NASDAQ and probably the ES today. So just if we get good pullbacks on those, we'll probably go long. And that also is one of the reasons I think bonds are going to stabilize and rates are going to pull off a little bit, because stocks are pushing higher. So it's kind of the tail wagging the dog type situation, but we can use that information to make money, and that's the point. All right, so NASDAQ, sorry, this is ES, you know, just waiting for a bit of a pullback. NASDAQ is going to be similar. So NASDAQ, yeah. And you. Yeah, it's probably going to hit 5K today. Sure looks like it. How you doing otherwise, Steve? Good? Man, this COVID, Steve, it just won't leave me alone. Really frustrating. I don't like it when I slow down like this. Oh, it's costing me a lot of money in unmade profits. I'm not losing money. I'm making a little, but I should be making a fuckload more, and I just can't stay awake, focus. So I know how it feels to be, man, people who have long COVID or something like that. I feel bad for you guys, because I felt like this for my whole life. Whew, I don't know. I don't know how I'd handle that. Not good. That's for sure. Let's look at the, yeah, I think bonds putting in. This might be the low of the bonds might be in right now. Could very well be in. That's good. At least we're getting a little bit of a more cohesive picture today. I I didn't see anything crazy in terms of like outright patterns that I liked. So we'll focus on what the market gives us today, Steve, but we'll be careful and just realize that the correlations are shifting a little bit. Yeah, COVID plus choppy markets equals sitting on the hands. Isn't that the truth? Well, you guys say some prayers for me, because if I don't shake this thing soon, I'm just gonna shut everything down for like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a trip to the sunshine or something. I can't function like this. I'm kind of just waiting, hoping it passes. Yesterday I felt bad. Believe me, I don't even want. I miss the sun, but I'm too like tired to travel right now. I just want to heal up, feel better, and kick ass with the trading. You know, so I don't want to have to go and take a sick vacation. Hopefully I'll feel better soon. And we're going on 2.5 weeks now, dealing with this bullshit. Yeah, so we're pushing higher here. I don't know why I thought shorting that was a trap. But we stayed out of it. Here's gold. You've got a little bit of a long pattern here on gold. Kind of interesting. Could see a move back to the top of the range here. I just don't like going against that daily right there. I think gold's going to be choppy like this, and I just think it's not worth it. Yeah, Russell. I think, you know, we got to be careful shorting the Russell, because with it's confirmed with ES and NQ. If you look at ES here now, ES we broke. Why does my ES chart take forever to load every single time, but every other chart loads like this? It's very strange. So you see how ES is breaking the extensions and breaking out. You don't want to short Russell when that's happening. So I think it's going to be. I think we have a pretty clear pulse to the upside for indices today, which is good. I think we'll make some money. So gotta wait and be patient for the right opportunity. Here's the NASDAQ. So yeah, I mean, I think my key level for the NASDAQ is like 17.6. We could pull back to 17.6. I think we could catch a nice move back to, you know, 17.750, 17.760. I wouldn't mind making a nice, cool 100 points on the NASDAQ today. It'd be good for the challenge accounts. See, one contract. That's why I'm so patient, you guys, because you just wait for the right setup. Like, I'll catch a 100-point move on the NASDAQ. I'll just got to wait for the right day. And on one contract, that's $2,000, right? So just I don't know. People are in such a rush to pass these challenges. I think that's a big mistake. Just wait for the good setup, and then you can make almost all the money you need on that one trade or two trades. 17,760, was that a good short yesterday? Oh yeah, exactly. It didn't get up to 17,776 yesterday. But I think we're going to get up to 1776. That yearly trend line, guys, remember, we keep talking about that on the NASDAQ. It's here. This is the yearly chart for the NASDAQ. We're coming across here. 17,776. I mean, we'll see what happens, but that daily looks like it wants to try and break through that today. So I'm hoping that 1770s. I might, would I short that trend line? I think it's going to break through it. I don't know if it's going to hold above it, but I think it's going to at least try and break through it. I would more like to get a pullback down here and then ride it up to, you know, that 1776, 17.8. I think if we're patient, we will get that. So that's it. We got a very clear game plan today. Yesterday was the wonky day. Today is going to be much more clear. And that's the key, guys. If you can get through the wonky days with, you know, little to no damage, that's great, right? So that's what I try and do here. Oh, and I'm going to go back and update all the thumbnails, you know, because yesterday was like the first, even though it was a very tiny losing day, it was the first losing day on the channel in 3 weeks or something. So, but I have to go back and update the thumbnails because I haven't been on the ball with updating thumbnails like for results and stuff because I've been so tired. Like, you know, I don't have time, but, and I got a graphic design company working on new thumbnails, but when they're done with all that, I'll got to go back and see what the tally is. But basically, the channel is starting the way that I wanted, even with the COVID throwing a huge wrench into my performance. We're still doing very, very well, and lots of green, not lots of red. And when we have red, we keep it very small. That's the goal. I'm still figuring out because, you know, I started the channel with just trading my own money, which I'll probably go back to soon. But I'm doing the challenge now for fun. It's a good time with COVID to explore the challenge a little bit. But I don't think I think it's kind of misleading. Like I see you guys let me know what you think, but I think it's misleading. I see other channels out there, like I'll see a thumbnail and they'll be like, oh, you know, I made whatever, $10,000 today. I'm like, oh, that's a good day. And I go over to their channel and, you know, they traded like 5 challenges or 10 challenges. Like, well, that's not really, if you're adding it all up, like, okay, so if I have a good day today on the NASDAQ and I do one trade on one contract and make 100 points per account and make $2 grand, you know, times 10 accounts, do I put a thumbnail? 20,000. I mean, it's kind of clickbaity. I don't think it's not really true. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm thinking about how to show accurate information. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. We kick ass, and that's pretty much all that matters. Anyway, Steve, let me know what you think. Crude at 10:30, yeah. I think the long side for crude, if we can get a flush, crude definitely looks bullish for today. So I think we'll have some good opportunities for crude. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. ES pushing higher. Rise in here. Today is, I think the ES is going for this blow off top today. Sure looks like it right now. Get the NASDAQ. The ultra bonds. Yeah, you still got some resistance up here on the ultras. And we'll get a lot more. One of the reasons too, I'm just not being super aggressive right now is because I just don't have the energy. Just trying to hold it together just enough to keep the streaming going while I'm really sick. But then, you know, once I have a lot more energy, sometimes I will whip out the 15-minute chart, and we're not going to do scalping, but you know, we'll just sit here. I'll show you guys how it's really not that difficult to sit and wait for good patterns on the 15-minute. Make a lot of money doing that. It just requires a bit more energy, a bit more focus. I haven't felt like doing that lately. You can do the same thing, just like you're cycling through the hourly now waiting. You can just cycle through the 15-minute charts and look for good setups. You'll take more losses that way, but you get more winners too. And the key with that is just you don't want to get too sucked into the minutia. That's kind of the hard part about that. I mean, I define scalping as like literally going for like, you know, 2 to 3 points on the NASDAQ. I think that's scalping. I think if you're trading a 5-minute into a 15-minute chart and you're still going for, you know, 10 to 20 points on the NASDAQ, I don't consider that scalping. Because you can use OMA on those low time periods. you can use a 5-minute into a 15-minute into an hourly and be super aggressive and make a lot of money. I do that sometimes. It just requires an enormous amount of focus. So you got to have the right energy. You got to be in the right mindset. But if you know, OMA works on just whatever like set of charts you want to put it on, it works. It's the same strategies, the same trading plans, the same everything. You just apply it to that. If you want to do the 5-minute into the 15-minute into the hourly, or like what I'm doing right now is taking it nice and slow. I'm doing the hourly into the daily. But if you want to dial down, you can definitely do that. I'll show you guys one day when I don't have COVID anymore and I have energy and I can sit, because it requires more, you know, a lot more focus if you're going to get down to those lower time periods. But some really good opportunities. And then if you want to do the volume-based charts as well, those give you even better read. There's so many different ways to skin the cat. For those of you who are non-English speakers, skin the cat is a colloquialism. Don't know where we got it from, but it just means there's many different ways to do things. Doesn't mean I actually skin cats. Where does that expression come from, Steve? Many different ways to skin the cat. Funny. All right. Silver. And the biggest thing too is like once you have an edge and you've got your trading plan, you know, if you want to trade the 15-minute into the hourly or trade the 5-minute into the 15-minute, just make sure you stick to your plan. And the number one thing is you can't have fear or you can't get upset, you know, like losing is part of trading. So just be prepared that the lower the time frames you go, the, you know, the more turnover you're going to have for trades, the more mistakes you're going to make. So you're going to have more losses. So mentally, it's a lot harder to trade super low time frames, which is why I don't recommend it for really anybody. I'll do it sometimes, but I got to be feeling extremely energized and focused. So keep that in mind. All right. All right, so it's 8:17. Let's just take a little pause here, guys. I'm going to go get some more coffee, see if I can wake the F up with the COVID. And I think there's going to be some good trading today. I'm excited about it. Yeah, so we'll just keep the party going. Let me know if you have any questions. I had to come from the Brits. Yeah, I probably did come from the Brits. Everything that's weird in our culture came from the Brits for sure. Just kidding, Brits. What market do you want me to leave up for you here, Steve, while I take a quick break? Are you going to watch the video? Okay, cool. I'll just leave it like this. All right, guys, I've got the cow drink going. I think that's what got me through yesterday was the cow. So, all right, we've got the GDP coming up, so that could move the market. We'll see if we can trade some sort of a news trade on that. And then hopefully my cocoa drink will kick in, which would be awesome. So here are the bonds. Anything I want to trade there? Just looking to see if we can do a GDP type trade. We got GDP coming out in 1 minute. Kind of treat it like the stock market opening. You know, if ES, do we see any possibility of an ES pullback? Yeah, I mean, if ES would, you know, pull back down below these lows, I mean, it's highly unlikely, but, you know, never know. Let's look at ES here. Bring up a 50 chart to see. Get a little bit of a read. You've got 20 seconds till GDP. There is some lag here, guys. So here you got the 15-minute. Usually like down here on you know, 49.80, 49.81 is a decent little level here to watch for the GDP number. No, sorry, it's even higher than that. Basically here, 49.84. There's GDP. May not even move the market very much. I'm not going to do anything, but we'll watch ES here just while we wait, because we are kind of squeezing here. I think we're going to gun. Going to go for some, I think we're going for 5,000. So, you know, if we can take some low risk entry opportunities to jump on board this trend, I'm not opposed to it. Especially because we've got clarity on the NASDAQ. So the GDP seems to be not moving the market at all. So it probably came in line with expectations. Yeah, there's definitely. ES looks bullish. I think we're gonna gun for 5,000. So while we're waiting for hourly checks, you know, today, see if we can just flop back and forth on the 15-minute here. Trying to see how I add on my customized control bar. Just looking at Sierra charts. How do I add it? Waiting to buy pull. Oh, that is a 15-minute. Okay, good. We got the 15 there. We can have that, and this is our hourly. Kind of keep this one off to the side for a moment. Here's our 15-minute. Use this a little bit. So we're trending up, guys. So we're just waiting. You know, if we get a little bit of a pullback. Let's see. I'll give you an example. We just want like a nice, something like that. Something like that. So we'll just stay patient here in between hourly checks. We'll see if we can't make some money on the indices. Right now, you know, we've got a nice OMA support level at about 49.84. You've got the broken daily near high here coming across. That's also basically the highs. You can see the high from Monday here, the high from Tuesday here. So all that was resistance. We're breaking through it. So we have a pretty good level there into 49.80, 49.84. Then of course we can dial in on those levels with the 15-minute chart. So if we want to see where that is on the hourly chart here, you know, on the hourly, yeah, probably not going to come back to this true average, but certainly live average. See, it's gonna, it'll try and give us a pullback. Wait. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna start posting those videos in the elite members area, Steve, before London every day. It's gonna be a lot easier when I don't have COVID anymore, but I'm noticing that a lot of these moves, I want to start jumping on them during London. I can alert you. I guess it's going to be tough for those of you in the US, but videos will be there. Go get my water. We're waiting for a pullback here. All right. I just made a joke with my wife about the Swedish winter because she's the Swede. She's the reason I'm here. She goes, well, where do you want to go on a trip? I was like, anywhere but here. I'll take a trip to Syria. Just kidding. But the Swedish winter just sucks. All right. I'm gonna wait to get long, maybe the ES here on a pullback on the 15-minute chart. So let's, while we're waiting for the hourly closes, but you know, the 15-minute, very bullish here on the E-mini S&P 500, NASDAQ as well. We can look at the NASDAQ too. Flop back and forth, see if we can get long on. If I have my choice between the two, I suppose I trade. I mean, I like the NASDAQ too, but NASDAQ, you know, it's just a little harder to be nimble on the DOM, you know, because it just fires up and down. But whichever one gives us a pullback. NASDAQ's got a great strong daily pattern, bullish. So I think the NASDAQ is going to want to gun for all-time highs today. Sure looks like it. All right, so here's the NASDAQ. About just seven or so minutes until these 15-minute bars close. Willing to take a shot at longing one of these. Got bond yields stabilizing, dollar giving back some ground. Got China pumping in a bunch of stimulus, you guys. That's one of the reasons market's doing this right now. We're still above all the CTA thresholds. I read some stuff on Zero Hedge Premium. This market still has a little ways to go, I think, before it's going to roll over. You can see it on the monthly chart. I mean, probably going to be NASDAQ 18,000 before the party's over to the upside. We'll see. We're taking it on a day-by-day basis. So, Steve, you said works good for me that you post the videos early because you wake up at 4:45. Yeah, exactly. You can watch the videos pre-stream, Steve. you can watch them at 2x speed, you know. I believe in the members area, you can watch the videos at 2x speed, right? The course and the videos I post there. I'll check. I think so, because then you can catch up fast. Yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of video sections there. Okay, 2x speed. Yeah. I'm gonna put special, you know, once I'm over the COVID, I'll put lots of stuff in there. How to set up the Owings market analysis indicators with Sierra charts. You know, I'll post some live videos of me not scalping, but trading the 15-minute into the 5-minute, you know, faster, so you guys can see how I do that. I can, you know, show you. We'll have like an archive of different sections. The course is already there, and I do the weekly forecast videos there. Now I'm going to add the daily forecast videos there, and then we'll start to get to all that other stuff when I have a little more energy. All right, so let's see if the NASDAQ's going to give us pullback here pre-market to get long and strong. The S&P looks a little more bullish right now. Let's see which one gives us a pullback. Let's look at the ES. You guys will have to bear with me with my yawning and extreme exhaustion. But hopefully the cocoa will kick in soon. I think that's, I was thinking about it. I'm like, why do I feel so tired today? Of course, it's the COVID, but I was like, yesterday I started to feel a little better. I was like, oh, because I pounded a truckload of raw cocoa powder in my coffee yesterday. So, you know, it's quite a stimulant. So I'd forgotten to do that today. So I went up and just added a bunch of cocoa powder to my coffee. CES is definitely more bullish. But we may not get the pullback in ES. We may only get the pullback in NASDAQ. So we may have to go NASDAQ. We'll see. I think we'll get it in one of them. Let's look at Q. There's Q 15-minute. And we're going to get ready for our next hourly check too soon. We don't want to miss anything. So we're going to be a bit more active today on the 15-minute charts. Yeah, ES could be on its way up there. If you're super aggressive, I think ES looks like it wants to go for 5,000 right now. But yeah, it just really depends on your I think we probably could squeeze up to 5,020 today. We just have to get through this high here that we made on Friday. But it's looking conducive to a pretty good little rally today. So I think we're going to have plenty of opportunities. I'm just going to scroll through the hourlies here. Take a look at the hourly. So here you can see we're coming up. This will give you a good read on the hourly. Because this is kind of interesting. This is the 9 a.m. check coming up. Looks like ES is, yeah, it looks like it's going to gun for that 49.98 level, I think, in the next 18 minutes. So, you may want to do something with that, Steve, depending how aggressive you're feeling. Looking 49.90 looks like there's a lot of support. Probably good up to 49.98. I'm just going to cycle through here and just see what I want to play. I'm waiting for a pullback to buy one of these. Hey, Jazu. Did I say that right? Jazu. Per your method, was there an entry long on the NASDAQ around 17,650? Let me look. Yeah, there was a perfect entry at like 5 this morning. Definitely right in here. And it depends, time frame wise, if you caught this and were willing to hold it. I mean, there are different ways that you can apply my method. So, for example, if you've been following me here on the channel, I'm a bit more of a conservative trader, so I like to wait for pullbacks. I'm not really like a momentum guy, but if you're a momentum guy and you came into the day just focusing on the NASDAQ, and like I posted in the members area before the day started, I said the NASDAQ has a very bullish pattern here, nice support pattern, and so if you were to focus on the 15-minute chart and you wanted to start to be a bit of an aggressive momentum trader, then all you have to do is wait for congestion exit through the 15-minute congestion zone, which you got here. And I have rules for why that's a congestion exit, right? So, well, it's easy to look back in time. No, there are rules for why that's a valid congestion exit. So yeah, there was definitely some signals there. I just wasn't in front of the screen here at this time. So, but I'm still going to be waiting to look to participate in the NASDAQ the rest of the day. Around 725. Yeah, exactly. Well, there's two, like you said, 17. What was your level? 17,650. Yeah. So there's multiple ways to play it, right? So let's say if I'm just on the 15-minute chart here, right? So the level that you're referencing is here, 17,650, which is that low right there, right? So okay, well, let's say you were trading during this period and you had the pre-market analysis that I gave that said NASDAQ is expected to be bullish, right? And I don't say that to the members unless I have a very good reason to say it, so people know that my analysis typically is pretty accurate, because I don't just spout off stuff that I'm not sure about. I only say something when I have a pretty good feeling. Doesn't mean it's always right, but pretty good hit rate. So if you were watching this, there's on what I teach, there's multiple ways that you could have played this. So like I said, the 15-minute was in a congestion range here, right? So if you had reason to believe there's a lot of support here, which you would, because you've got a lot of support over here on the daily chart right there. You can see that coming across there, right? Then you'd have two different, options to play this. You could either look to set a limit order to buy the lower end of the congestion range, right? So that would have got you in, but that won't always work that way, right? It worked there. Or if you had your limit order there, let's say, and it didn't get filled, then, the obvious entry, I think, was here on this congestion exit. You got pretty low risk here because you're longing here with your stop just right here. And then you're holding this, until, we have rules for when you get out of that. So yeah, it gave some good opportunities depending on how you would have taken it. All right, so I hope that answered your questions, Yazoo. Go ahead and look at the hourly here. Yeah, no problem. Where are you tuning in from, Yazoo? It's fun to know where everybody's from. We got people all over the place. All right, so let's do our check for 9 a.m. We've got ES here, Canada. Okay, nice. Welcome. The Canadians, our friendly neighbors to the north. Even though I'm in Sweden right now, but still. Cool. Okay, so with the hourly chart here, you're probably near crude oil trader in Canada there. You might have a lot in common with a crude oil trader, now that I think about it. All right. So looking at ES here. Yeah, we'll see. When you guys hear that doot doot doot, that yeah, that's another one of my students. He's a really successful trader in Canada. He's the crude oil maestro of Owings Market Analysis. All right, let me get into this. I'd be careful momentum trading this right here. I'm going to wait for a pullback. You guys do what you want to do. Let's look at NASDAQ, because these should be bullish. I think we have a bullish structure all day for indices here, especially if bonds continue to stabilize and the euro gets stronger against the dollar. We could see You know, and I'm gonna keep a very close eye on these on the 15-minute chart today as well. So we'll pick off some good levels for the hourly, and then wait for the 15-minute to confirm that. I'll show you guys how we use OMA a little bit more actively, especially when the cocoa coffee kicks in and stimulates this COVID out of my system temporarily. Let's looking bullish. Let's just quickly look at the bonds. What we got setting up for 9 a.m. Yeah, so the bonds are kind of jerking around down here, just waiting for. I think bonds are going to be putting in support down here, so I think stocks, the indices will be the better play for today. Look at gold. Yeah, gold's. Hey, see, that wasn't a bad buy that I called out earlier here for gold. But just choppy, but you know, good for $4 on gold. Not bad. I should start taking my bad picks. When I get over the COVID, I will. Silver, a mess. This is kind of what I thought today, guys, was with the metals, just because you've got like a cocktail of disaster with what rates and the dollar are doing. Metals are going to be a wreck, so just be careful. That's why I didn't take that gold long, because you're just going to see a lot of messiness on the metals. Here's copper. In copper, you're going to probably have some pretty decent support down here. Platinum. Yeah, platinum just collapsing. You're going to have some support down here for platinum as well. Look at we got 0785 on the Euro US. I think indices just aren't going to look back right now. Platinum's probably exhausting down into that level. Platinum could be a buy. We'll have to see. But the indices look strong. I think we just wait for 15-minute pullbacks on the indices. Nasdaq again. Bonds, nothing right now. Metals, nothing, unless platinum doesn't look like a bad. Could be a mean reverting long there. But I can't watch both at once, so I'm gonna have to make a pick here. And I think you know, on the Nasdaq, we've got a lot of support. ES, I think, wants to gun for that 5,000 level at least. I may just. I think the ES is easier for us to trade with the DOM here because Nasdaq's just all over the shop. You think we could get a little bit of a correction though? I pick one here. We've got a lot of support right here on platinum temporarily. 888. Right in there. Because I want the indices, but I don't want to chase them up here. I just want them to pull back a little bit. Let's look at platinum here. On the 15. So if we got like a dump on the 15-minute chart like that, could be a buy for platinum for, you know, a pretty good little move back up, especially what we're seeing on the dollar and rates. So I'm going to keep an eye on platinum. I'm not going to buy it here, but we're going to watch platinum into 889. And while we wait for that Nasdaq and the ES, we're going to be a little more active with the 15-minute chart today, guys. I'll do my best to process it with my COVID brain fog. If I fuck it up, you'll have to forgive me, but I think we're going to be in good shape. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. Oh, by the way, if we got any small kids learning always market analysis, don't develop a potty mouth like I have. I'm grumpy today. Okay, so here's the NASDAQ 15-minute chart. Now we want to pick a good level, guys, because you guys can trade the indices however you like to trade them, but I like to just pick my, like now that I'm bullish the NASDAQ, we got a really good bullish setup today for the NASDAQ, right? So, and the ES. Russell and the Dow a little less so. But so then what we want to do is say, okay, well, you know, like where's a good level here for the hourly chart? I mean, this hourly is, you got a lot of broken, you got a lot of support right here. If we close right here, for example, at the true average, I mean, we've got a lot of support. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. So if this 15-minute is pulling back, see, the way we would construct this is that if we think the hourly should be bullish, then the 15-minute congestion support level, you know, ideally should be strong for a hold and then a push back up as that hourly resumes higher. So kind of what we're looking for here. Let's go ahead and bring up. I don't think we're not quite getting the same kind of pullback on the ES. All right, so we might buy the NASDAQ. I'm kind of interested, especially if this 15-minute slams down here to 17,720. It's the kind of thing where I might go long and then, you know, give it 5 points of risk. And if it works, you know, try and hold it for as long as possible. And if it doesn't work, lose 5 points and move on, right? So it's a pretty good risk reward setup. Let's just look at the hourly and see where that 17,720 is. $17,720. So I'm just trying to line up multiple areas. If we were to come down here in the next 5 minutes, that's going to lower the true. Yeah, it's worth a shot, because if we're wrong, you know, we're going to find out pretty quickly and it's going to dump and we'll lose a little bit, which is not a big deal. That could happen. You know, the NASDAQ likes to play games, especially pre-market. It's thin. But if we're right, this could be setting up for, you know, the next push. It could be worth a shot. Check in on ES here. You guys having fun? I'm having fun as the cocoa kicks in. Here with the ES, what do you guys like better, ES or NQ? I think the ES, the NQ is a little less overextended. They both look good. I think I vote for NQ. What do you guys vote for? It kind of depends on whichever one pulls back. So we have NQ. A little wild here. ES is at 89. Yeah, ES is not ES is not bad. NQ is not bad either. They're both looking pretty good. Look at ES. I figure out why the ES chart takes so damn long to load. It's crazy. Here's the hourly ES. It's pretty darn bullish. Got 2 minutes. We're right at these highs from these last, well, we're over those highs. That's kind of, I think that's the thing. The 49.80 is just, looks like a back here looks like a little bit of a smarter area to wait for the pullback. That's why it could just keep going from here for sure, guys. But I'm just looking at, you know, the OMA. We've got the near high right here. See how the daily envelope top here in green, that's here. It's just, I don't think it's going to hold for the day, but it's exerting temporary resistance. My support level where I'd like to get long is kind of down in here. So doesn't mean that this is not going to hold and go higher. Just see where the NASDAQ is. Yeah, so NASDAQ hasn't really gotten up to its yet. Keep an eye on platinum as well. Because I have to do this in an area where the hourly makes sense. It's not bad here on the NASDAQ. Really, we're going to know because this is the support level kind of in here that needs to hold if it's correct. Question is, are we just going to squirt up from there, head down? I think the safer play is to see if it heads down a little. What's it? ES is 49.90. Just keep an eye, guys. You got a lot of nice support down in here into the low 17.7s. So it's kind of, at this point, it's more what you're feeling and, you know, how aggressive you want to be. I don't think it's a bad long from here. Could certainly just continue to work higher. Question is, do I want to participate here? ES is 91. Well, here we go. Take a look at the hourly again. So we have the fact that it's pushing higher already. I think we have pretty good confirmation that our true average here at like 32, if we were to come back there, that would be the area down in here. May not come back there, but you never know with the NASDAQ. Keep an eye on it. I'm just looking for this level here. Let's keep an eye on platinum as well. Platinum is at we got the open coming up soon as well, right? Yeah, I've looked at Bookmap before. I'm sure it can help some people who are purely order flow traders, but I don't know. For me, OMA works, you know, great. Use the volume profile a little bit. Here goes the NASDAQ. Like that was. ES is at 49.91. Let's go look at ES. ES is also pushing. Nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of games that get played on that Bookmap. I don't know. I'm sure it's there's some value there. We can talk about that in a little while, because I can tell you an interesting story about when I I tested it for like a month. So Euro US is 0791. Keep an eye on platinum as well. Look at copper. We've got some support down there. Well, it's going to be a fun open for stocks, that's for sure. Look at the bond market real quick. UB, yeah, I think the low of the day for bonds is probably in based on what we're seeing for stocks. So we can probably, I think longing stocks is the better bet for today. Go back to, yes, 49.92. If you guys wonder why I'm not going long right here, just right this second, the reason is this. See the weekly chart from last, this is the weekly chart. We're right at that weekly high. So yeah, it could burst right through, but you know, you got to respect that weekly high. So that's why I'm exercising a little bit of caution. NASDAQ's also, because if we really start, look at this, guys, on the weekly for the NASDAQ. Look at this. Last two weekly highs right in here, right? So it's like, do I want to long right into these weekly highs? No. I mean, we might just explode higher. It's possible. And I think we could go higher today for sure, but I want to see these highs get taken out and then join the party, right? I don't, you don't want to be the one holding the bag going long at the top. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. The market looks very strong, but if you wondered why I didn't buy that micro pullback on the 15-minute chart, that's why. Because I'm not looking to get 15 points out of the NASDAQ. Because you got to take, my logic on that on the NASDAQ on all these trades is that, you know, if I got to take, let's say minimum 5 to 10 points risk, I want to try and put myself in a position to make, you know, as many times that multiple as possible. I'm not just looking to get 10 points and get out. So what would be great and what I think could happen, usually when you have this type of a situation where it's like this, we're bullish heading into the open, hopefully a lot of the longs will be, you know, the aggressors that'll be offsides at the open. That's when you can get that spike down that gives the opportunity to, you know, when they're taking out stops, we get long and join the party to the upside, you know, from a more reasonable level. And we'll find that level on the NASDAQ. You know, I can already see, because oftentimes these extensions at the open, you can see here on the hourly chart, you know, we'll see where we are in 20 minutes when we open, but, you know, these extensions, like we're trending up, you got this extent. I mean, if we get a gift of a pullback back here into the, you know, 17.7, that's where I would love to try and get long the NASDAQ for the, because then we'd have the room to push back up to the highs. And even if it fails up there, we still, you know, took out a nice chunk. That's what we'll wait for on the NASDAQ. Let's see where our opening level would be on ES. It's true, I'm incredibly selective, but that's why the equity curve just goes nice and steadily up. I don't like these big swings. Some people like those. I'm not one of those people. So I'll pass on, you know, a lot of trades. So ES, yeah, same thing. I mean, I think the ES is it's gonna be really interesting, guys, because we're right at that high from last Friday, and there's gonna be some fireworks today. At least something's happening with it, which is exciting. Let's look at the bond market again. Look at the 10-year. on my nose there. Yeah. I mean, if the 10-year keeps pushing up like this, I think I do expect it will. And I think stocks could be in the clear to have a pretty good push to the upside today, which is great. Finally have a little bit of clarity. Look at the 30-year. So now we're looking to long the 30 years down into support, the ultra bonds as well. So just got some pretty nice definable levels here. The metals I think are going to be, I think platinum could see a pretty good reversal off of these lows, just because the dollar now is, we're pushing back toward 108 with the euro. Yields are dropping, so I think it's a pretty big exhaust right there for platinum. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this 889, 888 level, because it could be good for a move back to, 900. Keep an eye on that. Crude, we're waiting for the crude oil stocks. I don't know where crude oil trader is today, but if he's out there, we got the crude oil stocks coming at 10:30, and pretty bullish crude, especially right now. If indices continue to squeeze like this, rates continue to drop, we got a weak dollar. That's a pretty nice cocktail there for a strong crude market. So we'll look to play the crude. I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be a good day, based on what the charts are going. See here on the euro, for you guys. We'll go back to the 15-minute chart soon, but you can see we're getting this kind of grinding trend run up on the euro futures hourly chart. And on the daily here, it looks to me like we're going to try and push back up to 108, up in here somewhere. So I think for today, the dollar is going to be under pressure. I don't think it's going to last. I think ultimately the euro is, we're headed down to probably 104, 105 over the next couple months. But for today, it looks like the euro will probably be stronger against the dollar. A little bit of risk on with this Chinese stimulus coming in the market, right? The Hang Seng rallied like 4% yesterday. So I think our market is picking up on that stimulus today. I think we got a pretty decent risk on type picture today. That's going to benefit crude. I said if platinum, platinum it's in its own little world, but with the risk on board like this, platinum, if I see some support down here, we're going to have to probably take a shot at longing platinum down here, especially if we get a flush. Just kind of keep an eye on it. If I forget, Steve, remind me if platinum gets near 889 that I need to look at it, please. Because, platinum's a great market. I really like platinum a lot. All right, let's go back to the hourly. I kind of like this setup with the 15-minute and the hourly like that, because when I have them too narrow, I kind of like to see from a broader perspective. I think it's good for you guys too. We can keep a better eye on stuff. Let's look at ultra bonds. I think there's going to be some fireworks today, guys. So remember, it's Chinese, the Mandarin Chinese character for danger, also opportunity. So where there is opportunity, there is also risk. So I think we're going to have some good opportunities today, but there'll be increased volatility. So like what I do is on a day like this, when I see there's going to be some good opportunities, we're going to put some risk on the table today for sure. I just come into the day mentally preparing myself like, okay, this is one of the days where I want to use, some of my risk for sure. And I think just selecting the right days to do that on is important. Today looks like the first day this week where it's a good day to take some risk. we've patiently waited for that to happen, which is nice. And, you know, then you come into the day and you're like, okay, well, you know, what does that mean? What does risk mean? Well, for me on these challenge accounts, be like, okay, I mean, basically, I'd be willing to either pass them or blow them out. You know, that would be kind of risk I would take on a day like today. Here's the Ultra Bond. ES, we got 49.94. NASDAQ, we got 17,756. Platinum 891. Probably NASDAQ and ES obviously are going to be doing pretty much the same thing at the open. Probably will trade ES just because it's, you know, thicker and going to be easier to follow. We got a few minutes. It's 9:15. Just give me a 5-minute break, guys. I'm going to use the loo and I'll be right back and we'll get ready for the open and put on some risk. Hope you guys are ready. I'm ready. The cocoa's starting to kick in, so I got a little bit of energy here, which is great. Okay, I'll be right back. See here. We want the 5-minute break. There we go. I gotta move that 5-minute. All right, be right back, you guys. All right, guys, let's get ready to rock and roll here. US Open shortly upon us. Yes, kind of sitting right at these highs from here, from last Friday. Platinum's the other interesting one we're keeping an eye on. It's at 891. Bonds we like, and we're going to focus on ES at the open and Q too, because sometimes, probably have to focus on them side by side, because sometimes you'll get like a wicked pullback in one and then you won't get one in the other. We'll watch both at the open. Bonds we're interested in down here later on. Gold. Yeah, just overall the metal's not really interesting unless we can get that spike low on platinum for a mean reversion back up to 900. Especially if the dollar stays, the euro keeps getting a little stronger against the dollar. Remember, this can all change in a heartbeat, so just keep an eye. But we got a very nice, very, very nice bullish structure with OMA on the NQ today, so that's why I'm, looking ES as well. But that's why I think the structure is going to stay today. Because what I'm seeing on OMA, it just doesn't. The odds of it being one of these crazy reversal days are not high right now with what we've got going on with the OMA daily, weekly, and monthly charts. So that's why I think we're going to see a pretty good push higher. But it's going to be really interesting as we start to, really, the rubber is going to meet the road after 17,776, our yearly trend line here on the NASDAQ. This is the one that's held price every time so far, and we've been talking about that. So now this is, I think today we're going to break it, but let's see. Ultimately for the year, I think we're going to head back down, but I think we need to go a little through it first. Right here, 17.8. This is going to be really interesting. I think it's going to push through it, but I'm just kind of hoping we can get a little bit of a pullback to get long. What do you think, Steve? How you feeling, my man? Steve, you must go to bed pretty early, huh? If you're waking up at 4:45 and then you're trading before work, and then you got to go to work, and then when you get home from work, you got family, and then you're doing the OMA course, and then, I mean, that's a lot on your plate. But you're doing good. Nothing, it's like my favorite quote from Thoreau. Something is worth the amount of life you are willing to give for it. I love that quote. It means like anything worth anything requires a lot of sacrifice and time and effort. You like bonds? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing too. Even if hopefully we'll be able to join the party on stocks, but even if we can't, we should be able to get a nice chunk out of bonds. Yeah, that's a great quote. I really like the book Walden by Thoreau. All right. So we got the open in about 7 minutes, you guys. So nice and stretched and ready to go. Deep breathing. Be interesting. Get that. Yes. Here's ES. I mean, this trend run up on the hourly looks very intact. So, I think anywhere down into 49.88. I kind of have a feeling it's not going to pull back, but I just can't chase this. So you guys are left to your own devices here. Do what you got to do. I'm going to be kind of looking for something down into 49.88. Let's go ahead and see what we got on the 15-minute chart. And we'll just watch it. I'll keep an eye on NQ on this on the scoreboard. Let's see. Yeah, so also here on the 15-minute chart. Be careful here right at the open, guys, because you guys see I'm going to be looking for something down here, 49.88. You're long 49.90. Good, Steve. Way to go, dude. At some point, I'm just going to give Steve all my accounts, and I'm just going to analyze while you trade them, because much easier to do one while the other guy's doing the other. As long as Steve doesn't have a criminal history, then I'm going to give him some accounts. Just kidding, Steve. I'd give you some accounts even if you had a criminal history. That's how good of a trader you are with my analysis. All right. So we got 5 minutes to go here. At least my hot chocolate cacao is kicking in and giving me some energy here for the stream. I felt like I was just about to fall asleep from narcolepsy earlier from the COVID. What'd you say, Steve? That people you know with this COVID thing, they've had it for like 3 months? Fuck, I'm only like 2.5 weeks in, so better not have this thing for 3 months. See if my graphic designer has written back here. Nice. If Zero Hedge has a day before the open. Yeah, we're having that little mini banking crisis in New York with the New York, I think it's Commerce Bank. That seems to be bad news is good news for the market. Oh, okay. So yeah, today, guys, this is the big deal. That 10-year Treasury auction we have at 1 p.m. today, it's a record auction. So it means you have a record amount of debt going to auction. And if the foreigners aggressively buy that debt, it's going to drive yields lower and, you know, push stocks higher. But if the auction, you know, is a disaster, then bonds could drop through the floor, yields spike, and stocks could get hammered. So it's going to be fun to see. We're going to have a lot of fireworks today. I think it's finally at least going to be a fun day to trade. The last couple of days have been super boring. All right, so I think we've got a pretty good handle on things. So Steve, you taking your profit before the open, or are you letting it ride? How are you going to handle that trail and draw with those with the challenge accounts? Because that's the hard part about those. Because if you're long from 49.90 and you're already up 5-6 points, that's what I'm still trying to figure out with these challenge thingies. I think trading your real money is just way easier, but I think the challenge is fun, so we'll do it for a little while and see how it goes. All right, 927. Where's the NASDAQ at? 17,772. Interesting. Let's flip over to NASDAQ real quick. We're right at our yearly trend line, 17,776. Wow. Be interesting if the NASDAQ just dumped. Keep our eye on ES because NASDAQ's just going to be too fast. So I'm watching, waiting. I'm going to keep a close eye on that, 49.88 level here. 49.87. We've got, I'm not setting an order or anything. I'll just kind of see what happens. Because we're right at these highs. We've got about a minute to go. Good luck, everybody. Oh, is platinum at 889? Nice. Jeez, why does platinum have to be at 889 right now? Man. Okay, nice, Steve. Jeez, I don't want to miss the platinum long, but we'll watch ES. If we miss platinum, we miss it. It's fine. This is why we got to get our OMA hedge fund going, so we can have different guys on different markets and be like, you buy platinum, you do this. All right. It is 30 seconds to the open. I don't know what the latency is like, guys, but it's 25 seconds. 20 seconds. Ten seconds. And she's open. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Really want to watch platinum and ZN right now, but keep my eye on the ES just for a sec. NASDAQ doing 17,763. So NASDAQ's off a little bit. May not get the pullback here. Check in on platinum real quick. Whew. Yeah, platinum. I'm gonna just wait and see where that hourly closes on platinum. Back to look at the ultra bonds here, see how they're doing at the open. So I'm just keeping an eye on platinum, you guys. I'm not rushing into that right now. There's okay, so ultras had a little bit of a dump there. Keep an eye on that heading into the hourly. So get back to those on the hourly. Right now, we're going to turn our attention to the NASDAQ and the S&P. On the NASDAQ, got a lot of support down there at like 17.7, but it might pull back. So this is why I'm just being careful, because you're at those highs. Yes, 49.98. Here's ES. I'm just watching ES to see if we can pull back down into here somewhere. You know, you guys, lately in the NASDAQ, I've seen a lot more, you know, 75, 80, 90 point moves, just kind of out of nowhere. Like in 5 minutes, the NASDAQ will just snap, you know, like 80 points. So it's just, that's what happens when you're at these highs like this. Keep an eye. Let's ask our maestro, Steve. What does our maestro think? I'm going to start calling you the maestro, Steve. Got a pretty intact trend run here. Yeah, exactly. ES is just a little thicker. You know, I see the hourly ES closing up here close to 5,000. I really do. So I think if we get this pullback down here, into this support area. Daily envelope top. Might have to go long. Kind of wait and see. Let's see what platinum's holding that 889 level so far. Dollar, we're not above 108 yet on the euro. That's interesting. Bonds 2630. Rocking back and forth. I got my standing desk. You're long platinum at 887. My goodness, Steve. Nice job. Great entry. Nasdaq's 17,751. What was that level we like on the Nasdaq? 40. Yeah, well, you got in at 87, right? I mean, with platinum, what are we at? 888. I mean, could just move it to break even and just see what happens. You might catch a massive winner. Boy, kind of a dud for an open here, huh? Not really a lot of volatility on you. Look at NQ. So NQ kind of tagged my extension down there, so see if that holds or not. You are setting up what could be a little bit of an hourly resistance pattern into that yearly trend line. I think it's still going to be volatile today. I don't know if it's going to be straight up, so I still like my original game plan of like waiting for the Nasdaq to flush down here and get long. I just think I smell a rat up here at the highs. I think it's going to go back up there, but I think it needs to go down first. See if I'm right or wrong. Let's look at, we'll turn our attention back to the indices, guys, in a sec. Here's ZN. Yeah, I think it's just looking like ZN might need to go down to the lows. That's going to put upward pressure on rates. That might be the catalyst we need to spike the Nasdaq down to get long. Then we can maybe get long Nasdaq, get long bonds. Just wait for the setup to come to us. Probably, if I have the energy, I'll stream longer today because they got that really important bond. We got crude oil at 10:30. We got the bond auction at 1. Here's the 30-year. It's a nice little 15-minute exhaust there on the 30-year. Here's the ultra bond. Yeah. Yeah, platinum needs to get on its horse, but the fact that it's holding that level is a good sign so far. I wish I'd seen that exhaust on the 15-minute ultra bonds. Gotta get more screens. Still figuring out how to stream, analyze, and trade all at the same time. We will get there. Let's look at gold. Platinum. I'll look at platinum for you, Steve. Yeah, all you want now is the 15-minute to round the horn, get a close above the middle. You know, start. I wouldn't be nervous about it. I would just put the stop. I mean, you got a great entry, so just put the stop at, or you know, follow your gut. I mean, if you got in at 87, what are you up, like a couple $100 or something? So I don't know. You got a pretty good instinct. Sometimes cutting it's the right thing to do. You'll make the right decision. ES and NQ are still doing well. NQ's dropping. We're at 730 now, so I think that was good not to chase up there. Made a good call. We do have bonds pushing higher. Yeah, this would have been a really nice long on bonds. But I got to figure out a way to have like the 15-minute charts on. Guess I need about 50 fucking screens. Yeah, yeah, exactly. ZN's bouncing, so I think that's ZN and UB are bouncing. Dollar's picking up steam, so I think NASDAQ is probably also. This might just be a dump. Look at the NASDAQ dumping. I think NASDAQ, if this hourly could just crash back down here, set up a nice pullback pattern into 17,700, that could be a sweet spot to get long at 10 a.m. Kind of what I'm in the mood for. Look at that NASDAQ DOM going nuts. We do need the what I'll do, guys, is I'll move my daily chart. You don't need to see the daily chart, do you? We got some real estate here. We'll move the daily over to my screen over here, and then we can have the hourly and the 15-minute here. Here's our hourly. Here's our 15. This way we can kind of keep an eye on everything together. Boom. You guys feel good about that? I feel good about it. Okay. All right, let's just get ultra bond. Let's get the bonds up on the DOM so we don't drive ourselves absolutely insane. All right, guys, we back. My some weird power outage in the neighborhood. I don't know. My internet went out, but we appear to be back. Strange. We took half profit at 111.10. Nice. Platinum moving up. Nice. Killing it, Steve. I like to see. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's some good reads on the 15 minutes. Wish I would have caught that bond spike down. That was just a beautiful spike down on the bonds. Yes. It was weird. Like all the internet and everything just went out. That never happens. So here's ES.